And we are live.
Wonderful.
If you would please, if you have a platform where you can share and go ahead and do that, share the information there as well. I'll go ahead and share on Twitter and other little spaces right now. Well, that would be my sister calling me in the middle of this. And I'm sure she's going to like, oh, all right. Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. If this is your very first time joining me, my name is Turea Simpson of TureaSimpson.com. And I have a special guest with me here tonight. We have Megan Badera. And Megan is a woman's woman. And that's a good thing to have. A woman's woman in your corner. And she has a heart for helping women. She likes to get them out of their comfort zones and help them achieve their dreams. One of the things that she's been doing lately is for those that want to run for political office. You know, this platform is about motivation as well. And the majority of the majority of the people that follow me are women. And so I want you guys to know that you have an opportunity if you would like to become involved in the political arena, because Megan is going to share more information about that. So, welcome, Megan. Thank you for
Thank you.
being our special guest today.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to talk to another power woman and talk about how we can change the world.
Yes, it is good. It's a good thing because women can do a lot. You know, it used to be a time when, it was thought that women couldn't do much, but guess what? Women can be in every corner. And they are in every corner of the world. They're doing massive changes, and we just need more. So, Megan, tell us why politics, why women should be in politics.
Like you said, women can do anything, and but the one thing they don't do is politics. And I think that's for so many reasons. I think one of them is, it feels nasty, it feels dirty, it's a fight. But that's because women aren't in politics. And so I started my career running campaigns and realized that when women ran for office, they tended to work with me because I was the only woman running campaigns. And then about a year ago, I kind of sat down and reflected in light of Me Too, of where are all the women in politics. And so I put up an organization. I started Women Campaign because I want to help support the women who do want to change the world, and whether that just be in their community. But eventually we need to get them in races and running for office and being elected, so that we're getting more, getting our due representation.
Right, that is important. Is be able to be represented when we go out there, and it's important to see a woman. It's also important for me, like, see women of color that are there and that are, out there for the community. So tell me about the importance of voting, because I know that's a huge component to politics.
Oh, that is the first step. I don't even want to call that politics. Let's just call that community involvement.
Right.
But yeah, if you are not registered to vote, that's an easy thing. Let's get registered to vote, and then write it on your calendar. The great thing about election day and about voting is that is protected time off of work if you're out there voting. There are so many ways to do it. You can do it in person. You could do it early. You can do it by mail. Really, like, I think we live in an age, and I think even now in coronavirus, that there's no excuse not to vote. It's harder to not vote than it is to vote anymore.
Right.
And that's really, that is the first step of our voices, is making sure that we as women are getting out there and using our voices.
Right. It is important to get out and vote. My grandfather was a had just come out of slavery, And that was one of the things, and he couldn't hardly read or write. But that was one of the things that he made certain that his children, that they did do, is to get out and vote, because it was a long, hard journey for those of us of color to be able to get out and exercise our right to vote. So we definitely want to, embrace the communities, no matter what the race is, to say, get out there and vote, because it is important. Your voice can be heard. Um, it won't be heard if you're not doing anything, to put your voice out there by voting. So tell me a little bit, one of the ways uh, that we can do something to make a change, to get involved.
Absolutely. So, starting with voting, vote is one of those ways that you can make a change. But really, I think another way is to be aware of what's going on in the world around you. And that it can be done in so many different ways. And I think that what's been going on in our country over the last few months, I mean, obviously for all time, but more so over the past few months, I think has really caused a lot of people to increase their awareness. And I think that find a source to make you aware of what's going on in the community, whether that is local, that school board, or even federally. But if you don't feel comfortable, following the newspaper or following, politicians themselves, find the leaders in your community, because they're going to be talking about the important issues. They're going to be talking about what we need to be working on.
Right. That is so important. One of the things that I love to do is, when I do go to vote, most of the time I get to see the elderly, that they are volunteering and becoming those election judges and working the polls. And it's so important. But one thing I do know is that you don't have to necessarily be older or elderly in order to get out there and to participate with the polling locations and things like that. So tell me, if you want to run for office, what can you do? How would a person go about doing something like that?
The first step is really to get involved and to start talking to people and start making it known that you want to run for office. And the more you start exploring, the more you start talking to folks, the more you're going to get connected up with those leaders in the community, the leaders who know when and where and why. They're going to put you in touch with the people you need to know. And that's actually one of the things, my organization, Women Campaign, we do for women across the country, is if you're, just now thinking, I want to run for office, or even if you may not even know you want to run for office, but you may want to change something. Come to us. We will sit down with you. We'll help you put together a plan for running for office, and then help get you in touch with the people who can really make that happen for you.
Right. If you guys have any questions concerning about what we're talking about tonight, please feel free to leave us a comment, and I will get the messages over to Megan. At the end of this, we will allow her to be able to give out her information to be able to reach her. But I want to stop and say that right now, because this topic is so important to know. And I want people to, give some great feedback on why it is that we need to be involved in politics. So Megan, do you just deal with people that want to get involved in the local arena, or are you saying that you can, no matter what type of race it is, that you would be involved in and support any type of woman in her campaign?
Yeah, my organization supports from local all the way up to federal. However, there are so many resources available at the federal level. There are so many organizations that are working to get women running for office. And I think we do see that being a little bit more of a partisan conversation. And so, yes, we can help there. My heart and my passion, and I actually feel the biggest need in our country is for more women to step up at the local level. That means school board, that means city council, because that's where you get the experience. And, I might be a little biased in saying this, but I think that's where you see the most change. Is I think right. At the federal level, it's just gridlock, it's just stuck, it's just fight, it's just negative.
Right.
But I mean, if just for myself, I don't intend to run for office. It's not in my immediate plan, but that doesn't mean I'm not working on things politically in my community. I am working on a crosswalk where I walk my dogs and my future children will cross to go to school, but the crosswalk doesn't exist. And people don't stop at that intersection. I'm working on getting lights on a basketball court because the tennis court has lights, the power's there. Why aren't the lights on the basketball court? That's where our young people are playing, and they're not in trouble. They're being good members of our community. Let's get them some lights so that they can play into the evening, especially when it's hot out in the summer.
Right. Well, I grew up in a household with my mom who was very passionate about being a part of their local civic club at the time, and would she would be involved in all of this kind of thing. She would go to Austin. They would go to the city council meetings, things like that, in order to be involved. So I've been privy to a little bit about it, and I've also attended some meetings that they will give more information concerning the candidates that were running. You know, how is it that someone else can learn more about just the whole process of campaigning and what it takes, just to do things?
That I actually would say is probably one of the hardest, or the biggest place where it's missing. It's not really there. And I think that's why a lot of people don't vote or they don't participate, is because, sure, there are groups. League of Women Voters is often very involved. There are a lot of groups who are helping to interview those candidates and helping to break it down and show you the contrast between those candidates. But really, at the end of the day, we want it to be impartial. We want it to be an upstanding process. And so it's left very much up to voters to go find that information. But I think that results in a lot of, when you go to those polls and you look at the length of that ballot, you don't know who to vote for. And I think often judicial races, judges are right in the middle of the ballot, and judges have to follow a very interesting set of rules when it comes to campaigning. So in all likelihood, you've never heard their names. They've never sent you a postcard. And then you have to get past that to get to the local races. It's a very overwhelming process. And so where you can find the information is, I think we talked earlier of, find some people that you value their opinions, and not saying you have to, do exactly what they say, but use them to get information. They're going to know which groups in your community are doing candidate interviews, or pick a race. Pick one race where you make a commitment to yourself that you want to look and see what each of the candidates stands for. You can even reach out to them, whether Facebook, email, ask them questions. But really take it one step at a time to get more information so that you start getting involved.
That's good to know. That's something I had never thought about doing, is actually reaching out to the candidate to find out exactly what their viewpoint is on certain things. So, you know what, I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to make certain the next race that I do ask, I actually make it my mission to reach out to a candidate to ask some more questions. So that's very good. That's very good, Megan. Now let's talk a little bit about why you feel the need right now. Why is right now the time to get involved and campaign to make a difference here?
Because that change does not start happening until we start working. And I think that's what we have seen in a lot of the protests that have been going on. Black Lives Matters. It's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking that it has taken people dying, people being murdered for conversations to start happening. And if those conversations had started happening a year ago or 5 years ago or 50 years ago, and granted they have, and that's how they got us to today. But if we don't start today, if we don't start having conversations today, those changes aren't going to happen. And I think what we've seen is with so much conversation in just in a few months that things have really started to change. Things that should have changed. Monuments are coming down that should not have been monuments, because people are talking and they're getting out there and they're starting to be aware of what's going on in their world.
Yes. People want to be heard. That's the key, is that people want to be heard. And it doesn't matter your how much money you have, what class or division you belong to. Everyone wants to be heard. So let's talk a little bit about three things on that a person can do now to raise their voice.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. You can start now. You don't have to wait for a perfect time or perfect opportunity. You can start now. So number one, go out and register to vote. If you're not registered to vote, do it tomorrow. Some states, some communities let you do it online. Others need you to fill out the piece of paper, but make a commitment to yourself. Get it done. Next thing, we're going to write down on the calendar, or however you keep track of where you need to be and when, you write down when election day is, and you go and you find out where that polling place is. And hopefully they're going to send you your mail. If you are registered to vote, you'll likely get a postcard that tells you where it is. But if you're not, then you need to take that first step yourself and make sure you know where you can register to vote.
Right.
Your second thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at that network. You're going to look at your Facebook feed and you're going to say, who are my community leaders? Who are the people I trust? Who are the people who are doing good work in this community? And I don't mean necessarily political. I mean, who is fixing that crosswalk? Who is getting that park cleaned? And we're going to follow those people, because those are going to be the people who know where to get the information you're looking for. Those are the people you should feel comfortable asking the first question. Hey, I want to get more involved. How are you involved? What information do you know?
Right.
Follow those people on Facebook, get their updates. And finally, my third kind of thing you should do now is find a place to be involved. And that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be politics, because let's stop making politics so ugly. Let's talk about the nonprofits in the community. Let's talk about your local school, your PTA, because those are the places where you're going to see the need, and those are the places where you're going to see the action. And
Right.
Once you start following, you'll get to know the issues, you'll get to know people, you'll get to know the other leaders in the community, and suddenly you'll see that your influence, your knowledge grows exponentially. It's no longer in a void.
Right. So what I hear from you, listening to what you're saying, one of the greatest keys to this, besides getting out and exercising your right to vote, is networking. I think I agree with you that networking can take you a long way. It can open doors that you may feel like are closed to you. And especially when you get into a new avenue, something that you know nothing about, and you have the right people, the right people that are guiding you, that networking key is so important. It's so important.
And I think
So that's
women
good.
in general, whether it can be in business, it can be in life. I think men are much more likely to go out there and seek out those networks.
Right.
And I
Yes.
think especially in politics and community, is what you perceive the need to be today when you first get involved may be completely different from what you see the need is after you've started networking. I've had people come to my office and say, I want to run for Congress. And I say, that's great. But did you know that your local city council seat's available? And this is when they meet and where they meet. And you don't have to move your family to Washington, D.C. And people go, oh, I didn't realize I had to move to Washington, D.C. to be in Congress. But so as you network with people, as you have those conversations, different doors may open for you.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. So tell us how, if someone wants to run for office or get more information about that, how can they reach you?
Please reach out. My website, womencampaign.com. You'll see we have abundance of resources. What we're currently doing is, if you think you might want to run for office, let's set up a 1-hour call. Let's talk about where you are currently. Let's talk about what are those races that are open in your neighborhood. Or let's talk about what you can be doing to better build that network and put a timeline on it. You follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter. Again, Women Campaign. And I'm available all the time. You'll see my contact form and my contact information on our website. And so you can feel free to reach out. And myself and our other team members will be more than happy to share more information.
That is good to know. So again, if you want to find out more information concerning Megan and campaigning or running for a campaign, again, it doesn't have to be on the federal level. There are plenty of things here in the local Houston area for sure that need good people in these seats. For sure, look into maybe doing something local here within the communities. You feel free to reach Megan at Women Campaign. Megan, I am so thrilled that you were able to join us today and give us more insight about something that is so needed at this particular time right now as we watch Congress go back and forth on what they're planning to do here with, the coronavirus and the implementation of that, of things that they want to put into place. It is so needed right now for to get other people involved. And I thank you. I thank you for opening the door for this particular conversation. Again, feel free to reach Megan again at Women Campaign. And Megan, thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to jump over to the Facebook page and respond to any questions that came up on the feed.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.